Hello, everybody. Welcome back if you have tuned into some of the other sessions, and welcome if you haven't. I'm going to be working today on continuing to work on this course, this Learning Lab course about working in large repositories, and hopefully getting the config to a place where it can actually be imported successfully as a course. So, as always, gonna do a quick shout out to what Learning Lab is in case you haven't worked with it before. So lab.github.com is the place for all that good stuff. Yeah, you'll see it's not dark. This is just my dark mode on my screen. So Learning Lab is a GitHub app. It's a way to learn things, teach things, all within the context of GitHub. So through the first couple sessions, I chose exactly, which things to teach, and I decided to go with a course on working in large repositories. So I need to check one thing real quick here, because I want to make sure that if anybody is tuning in, that I can communicate with you in chat. So, okay. So we're good there. Okay, so we can see it. I can see it. We're good. So yeah, if anybody is here, let me know. Say hello. Let's get started. I'm gonna get started. And by getting started, I mean I'm going to try to remember what I did last time. So I've got my title, got my tagline, description, and again, all of this is stuff that I'm going to finalize later and review before it's published. It's all coming back to me that I need to get a template repository. That is maybe something that should be a priority for this hour. The before step, an issue is created with this welcome issue text. Another issue is created, title welcome to this repository with this existing welcome. So the purpose of that is to the whole purpose of working in a large repository is not just large by size, it's also large by how many people are working there, how long has it been around. Some of the things that can make finding information difficult sometimes is just the amount of communication happening. So right now there's just a couple issues going to be created. There's going to be a whole lot more later. Step 1, close the linked issue. Great. Okay, so what I'd gotten through was pseudocoding. So I'm going to create an issue with this, respond with this. Okay. Did I get all the way through this? I think so. Let's walk through it. So step 1, close the linked issue. So we're like, hey, in this existing welcome, or in the welcome issue, we're like, hey, there's a duplicate information. It references it. So find the one that's cross-linked and close it. They do that. Let's see, wrong config. So they close it, we listen for that event, then we create an issue with O1 crosslink and respond in both pointing to crosslink. So here we're saying, please find the related issue and crosslink with a short description and create a crosslink. Don't worry, this will all be edited more later, but just for my own sanity, putting that detail in. Information about how to find issues and pull requests. Okay. And so they create the crosslink, they do an issue comment, we make sure that it's doing the right things, and then we respond with O2 find commit. Okay. Find a commit. They, after finding commits, they look at the instructions, they comment some part of the SHA so that they're actually commenting the commit. We're like, cool. We make sure that it's the right SHA. That is going to be tricky with a template repository, because if we are checking for a specific SHA, then if that history gets rewritten for any reason, like somebody filter branches because somebody doesn't want to be in the history as an author, then that will break. So we have to keep that in mind. Then we'll respond with O3 context, and we're like, great, what's this about? And so they find the context, they mention the author, reviewer, beautiful. We make sure that it's the right people, and then we're like, okay, find the broken build. And they're like, all right, and they do it, and they find it. They find the pull request with a broken build and assign themselves to it. We look for issues assigned. Then we respond with fix build. Then they fix the build. Okay. And then once they fix it, we're like, great job. You are good to go. So I need to make a decision now if I'm going to focus on finding creating the temp repository, or actually finishing writing all this stuff out. And I think what I would rather do is stay in the config, but I think what I have to do is find a template project. I think I just have to. I think I've been putting it off, and I think it needs to happen now. So that's fine. So when picking a project repository, what's really fun about that, it's really fun after the fact, I think, because if there's a really great thing like a resume or a fun game, like it's always really nice if the actual project is something cool instead of just like a whole bunch of nonsense. The thing I care about the most is that this repository has a lot of commits. That's really all I care about, because I want to have a lot of stuff to go through and a lot of branches, because I want to have some pull requests that maybe even have already been merged. Like we'll have the commits, we'll have the branches there. Oh gosh, that's a little messy. Well, yeah, that'll be a little messy. Because I want it to mimic like a real repository. So what is a project that would make sense? So a project that is a large repository. If there's anybody watching that has any ideas, you should just let me know. So some examples of things we could do. What we've done in the past a lot is picked from like open source, like cool open source projects. Like we can just go look at some. Yeah, so like Introduction to GitHub, for example. The template repository for this is a caption activity, which is kind of fun. There's other ones that are like a memory game. There's things that are resumes. I think I've already said that. So some routes that I'm super comfortable with include publishing something on GitHub Pages in Markdown. Something like I don't know. We could go with the slideshow route. We could go with a like a Docsify manual. So if you're not familiar with Docsify, I just can't help myself here. Docsify is this fabulous library, I guess is the right word for it, that's all about creating really quick and easy documentation from Markdown. It's how our training manual is put together. Let's see. I want to actually look at the real training manual. So we could do localization with different languages. It's how we get through a lot of our instructions, like for teaching a class. It's awesome. So we could do something like that, just so that people have something at the end of this course. Do recipe site. We could do da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with the things that I know that I want, which is something Markdown focused and based on GitHub Pages. So locally, I'm keeping everything in this live stream directory. I have this working in large repositories. That's the course repository. So when you're creating a Learning Lab course, you've got the course repository where the responses and the config live, and you've got the template repository that's copied for the user. So if I take a Learning Lab course, a repository gets created for me from the template, and then all of the responses, all the logic is stored in the course repository. So this is the course repository. I'm going to make dir working in large repositories template. That naming is just gonna keep me knowing where I'm at. All right, so in my text editor, I think I'm working a level up here. So I'm just gonna make some stuff. I know I'm gonna need Markdown files. I know I'm gonna need commits. So let's get that started. Let's just start with a README, and I'm gonna go here, and I'm just gonna make some history. I'm making history, you guys. CD working in large repositories template. This is not a Git repository yet. That's fine. Get in it. Guess what it is now. So I'm going to git add this README, git commit -m initial commit with README. It's fine that it's empty because we're gonna just generate some history here so that later, because later there's an activity where the user's gonna have to come back. Hi, I see Hector in chat. Hi. Hector, I'm glad you're here. I need your help picking a good project repository. I know that I want to have a history that they can search and find a certain commit. In fact, let me go back and look at exactly. Find commit. I want them to find the author of a specific, okay, so that has nothing to do with being broken. That's just like, find this thing. Okay. So I'm gonna just generate some changes here. Working in large repositories. I won't title case all of it. This repository is a place with a lot of history. So Hector, I'm gonna have to, Hector and everyone else in the big old crowd, I'm going to need to just make a lot of changes and make a lot of history. That's gonna be a little bit tedious. It's gonna be a little bit tedious. So I think before I go to all the work of doing something tedious, I should have a real plan. Versus just making a bunch of commits that are nonsense. Shocker, making a bunch of commits that are nonsense is not a good idea. We're all surprised. So I'm leaning towards a Docsify thing, because even though we're not teaching the user how to use Docsify at all, I think it's a cool end product. I think we don't have a lot of courses, so I don't think we have any courses that go into Docsify right now. It's something I'm pretty comfortable setting up. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna, gonna take the leap. Let's make this project repository be a Docsify thing. And then they just have something. And then we have a way to make history. Making history. So lucky for us, there is, and I'm gonna use this manual. This is also a Docsify manual. It's also not that we use it to teach our classes, but you're welcome to just go here and look at it. No one's gonna stop you. There's a part on documentation where I have really specific instructions on how to do like the bare minimum. Also in here you'll see Docsify.js. Their documentation is the true thing you should look for. They've got the best details, but this is like a really quick start for like the classroom setting that I was working in. So this is also gonna give me something to do in terms of how to make all this history. So I'm trying to think about the steps. So I'm trying to play out, yes, we want to deploy this. To deploy it, we need to have the base structure there. We also want to have pull requests, some that we will merge before the course even starts. So I might want to make some of these commits on branches. Oof. This is a tangled web that I'm weaving. I'm going to make branches and open pull requests for these different things as a part of the before step so that we have some history to trace. Okay, this is a tangled web. Okay, type, this is not the type. Create pull request with branch. We need to figure out how many branches. So number one, figure out how many branches, and then figure out the responses. Okay, so let's figure out how many branches. Before we enable this, we should create a docs folder. So enter field docs.readme. So docs folder, index, and then this Node Jekyll thing. Those are the most important. And then after that, we can, so let's just do it this way. We don't need all the pull requests to be doing different things. They can be building on each other. Since we have control over when they are merged. Ooh, sorry. So let's do that. Let's start here. So we should create a docs folder in our repository that is the source for documentation. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this up over here. Nice and cute. Put this over here. Let's make a branch. Git checkout -b, create documentation structure. And now that we're there, we're going to create a new docs folder. And within that docs folder, we're going to create a README folder, or a README file. Touch readme.md. Okay. Commit the new addition on your branch. Okay. Oops, I need to add first. Git add. Do you like how I'm reading my own directions and I wrote these and I'm still like needing to look at them? Can't keep it all in your head. Git commit -m, create documentation folder and README. Okay. commit the new on the same branch, create a file named docsindex.html, touchindex.html. Inside the file, paste the following code. So I've copied that to the clipboard. I'm going to look at my docsindex.html file that I just created for my template repository and save. So this is what my template repository is going to look like. In fact, let me collapse this. And then what else have I written to myself here? On the same branch, create a file. So I could do this in a new commit, or in the same commit, but I'm not, because I want to have a lot of commits so that I have a lot of things to work with. Where am I? I want to go back, git add, git commit, create index.html file for docs. Okay. And then the next thing I need to do, so this step is specific for GitHub Pages. So fun alert, if you're using Docsify with GitHub Pages, which you totally should because it is so easy, you will need to create this file .nojekyll. Otherwise, GitHub Pages will get confused. It will try to do something that's not happening, and it's like, welcome to the party, GitHub Pages. It's not happening. Jekyll's not involved. .nojekyll. Let me make sure I spelled that right. .nojekyll. Okay. So that's just something that you know. I see Hector's comment on me following my own directions. That's how you know you write. Well, thank you. I hope so. The reason I think that they're okay is because they used to be not okay. And then I was teaching a class and we were going through them and I was like, uh-oh, I missed some stuff. But then it was this class full of super smart people and they helped me fix it. So that was great. Commit-m include nojekyll file for deployment on GitHub Pages. Okay. And would you look at that? We've already got like a few commits, so we're on to a pretty good start, I think. Pull request, I'm not gonna do that. But that is letting me know, okay, so we've done one branch. I hope I didn't do too much on one branch. It's okay. I need to go to another branch, so let me write this stuff down before I forget it. So in this config, the first branch is called create documentation structure. This is important because, so the create documentation structure branch is in the template repository, but I'm going to need to reference it in the course repository to create the pull request and all that good stuff. So it's going to be, you know, with body, and then let's create the body. We'll call it, so the body is going to be the content of the pull request. New file 00 create documentation structure.md. I'm doing this right after a German lesson, and so my brain is like, you know, wheels need some oil. Squeaky. And this is just a pull request for introducing the documentation structure for Docsify. Okay, so that's enough information for me as a course author to not later come back to this and completely be confused. So this is with body 00 create documentation. Man, I gave that a long name, didn't I? Create documentation structure.md. Okay, we'll still need to come up with a title for that pull request, but that's easy. We can do that later. The next things that we will need to do, you know, so that we have a couple pull requests and so that there's also an existing little cute manual, is so we'll have them enable GitHub Pages. Let's do that later. In fact, so that I do not forget, you did it. Here's how to enable GitHub Pages so you can actually see this project. And then the contents of what that manual will be will probably be pretty lightweight and something that is yet to be determined. All right, so we're not going to enable GitHub Pages yet. We're going to skip ahead to creating individual pages. So we can do a couple pull requests here where there's a different, where there's different pages being added. So if I see a few people just joined, maybe they left and joined, but heads up, what I'm working on right now is the template repository. So the project that will help to inform, when people register for the course, they're registering for a course where they can like learn about working in large repositories. For that to make sense, they have to have a large repository. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working on making a large repository. And that large repository is going to include Docsify so that they can have something, kind of real. And I'm working on just like setting that up. So this is a tricky part. It's, really depending on what you're trying to teach in Learning Lab. What is the right project? What's the right kind of environment, the right setting to teach the concept that you're trying to teach? All right, let's create a branch. Let's do it. Let's do the thing. Do I want to create this from this branch or from master? I'm going to create it from this branch because the create documentation structure branch, we're going to merge before and I'm going to write that down too. We're going to merge that before merge create documentation structure branch, because I'm worried if I create a bunch of pull requests directly off of master, off of like commit number 2, and then there's just a higher probability for some small merge conflicts, and I wouldn't really be adding anything. I can do them kind of in a way that would be all fast forward merges if you were doing it locally. It'll make it less likely to have merge conflicts, and I think the end effect for the user is like that's not going to be such a big deal. We're not teaching about merge conflicts or anything like that. New pages, we'll call it that. Add new pages with body, and then we need to come up with a body. We'll call it add new pages.md. There's a lot of little kind of moving pieces that it can be a little tricky to keep track of in this phase, at least for me, and it's not always this complicated, right? It's not always this. I'm making it extra complicated for myself by choosing to have the concept is a not sparse repository. So I need more stuff there. That's just making it hard on myself to create. It's not always this hard. Pull request for adding new pages. And this will also be merged before the user even does anything. So this is just so there's a background, which I've said 1,000 times. Merge, add new pages branch. Okay. I'm also, while I'm looking at this, I know that later on, when I have the user find a commit and then find the context, I'm also going to ask them to find that commit's author and the person that reviewed the pull request. So I'm gonna need to, this is hard, because there's only one Learning Lab bot that we can work with. Create a review. You can't review your own pull requests. Ugh. What do you think, Hector or crowd? So the bot is the only kind of actor we have control over. The bot cannot review their own pull request. It seems like I'm just going to have to change the instructions that they can't find the reviewer, which stinks. I'm not giving up on that yet because I want to highlight the fact that you can find the reviewer. Like, that's kind of an important conceptual piece for me, that it's not just about the details of the actual commit. It's about the social context around it, about what were the comments that were made on the pull request, what are the tests that were run. It's less social, but the bigger picture. Okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna let myself go down the rabbit hole today. Create a review on, I'm just going to document the rabbit holes so that I can think deeply about them at an appropriate time. Going on back to the template repository. I have created my branch, and then I am going to add more pages, and I can also, so inside navigation can be its whole own pull requests, please. Put that in its own PR, am I right? So we have the docs directory already set up, and we're just going to create a file. Okay, cool. That's something that I'm capable of. So it is in here, and it is going to be a file called, the thing about coming up with file names on the spot is that I can only think of things that are completely irrelevant. Like songs from the 80s are going through my head right now, and I can just think of the lyrics. Like, that's not a great file name. That won't make any sense. So I'm going to call this one, favorite song.md. I don't know. Let's just leave that there. I'm going to say, these are my favorite songs. We'll put a header on it because it's Markdown. And then I'm just going to say anything from Grace. And this will get changed. Wait, will it get changed later? No, this is a template repository. I'm going to come back to this before I commit it and take a look in chat. Hector says, what if we base this repo on an existing one, tell the story that it was, ooh, that's interesting. So we could be like, this is a fork of this other repository that does have a super complicated history. Can you go find it? Yes, I love that idea, because the commit will be the same. So from the user's perspective, the commit will be the same. So they can find a commit in either repository, who cares? They can go find it. We do ask them to create a crosslink. No, we don't ask them to create a crosslink. We do ask them to @mention. I think that's fine. I think it's enough. We will still need to go and create the original one that is quote the parent fork, and then make a bunch of stuff in there. So they have something to go look for. I love it. I think that's brilliant. I'm trying to think if it's too complicated for them to have to go and bounce around to different repositories. I know we lose users, as a learner, you're more likely to get confused if you have to go to a bunch of different places. But then that's what the course is teaching. Now, how can we bring forking into it in a way that's true to what forks are? I don't know that we can. Because if we, the way forks work, no, I think that we can. We'll just need to include some context on forks. Hector says he'll keep thinking. Hector, if you keep thinking like this, I'm going to call you right into this. Dial in. Long time listener, first time caller type of situation. Open invitation, Hector and anybody else, just for the record. This is way more fun if it's not me just talking to myself. And I need to not commit this because this is going to be the history that they search, and so it needs to be, needs to be something real. So what is their project going to be? It's going to be something that is a manual, and then the manual should probably have something that is pertinent. And we will have a pertinent topic, not of favorite songs from musicals, but rather favorite learning resources. That's way more appropriate. Okay, let's rename this bad boy here to learning resources. It's not boring, it's just appropriate. Great. And thanks, Hector. I see you in chat. I think you're right. Yeah, I think this makes sense. I just can only, my brain is overwhelmed a little bit because the template repository for me takes way more brain energy than the other part. So learning resources, and let's just leave it blank there because we can do more. We also list your favorite learning resources here. Get as for status, get add, get commit, create page for learning resources. So right now I'm just trying to come up with a couple branches. If we end up doing there's a parent fork, and so we could do these pull requests in the parent fork and then just link back to it somehow. And then these steps wouldn't need to happen. Those would happen in the parent fork. Need to figure out the story on the other issues. So I liked that those were in the same thing. So I'm not over this completely yet. I see Hector's comment. Yeah, Hector's right. If we use something real, then we are going to @mention people to death. Nobody wants that. We will get kicked off of GitHub, and I work there. I don't want to do that. That would be bad. I'm going to try to keep finding a way to include this weight of like a review. Maybe we could even like, maybe we don't actually need to have a review done on the, maybe we can just talk about it and say you can find the reviewer, you know, like if it was there. Maybe we can have something else on the side, like maybe there's a label or something that we can use as a way to just bring their attention to the context. We'll see. And so if you're watching this thinking about how you build a Learning Lab course, I think this is the hard part, right? The part of like, what are the actions? Like, what is the syntax? That's like, you have to learn it, but then you know it. I think the part that's hard is, what am I trying to teach, and how do all of these kind of complex little pieces come together so the learner has a really like straightforward, obvious path experience, and they get what you're trying to tell them. Like, they should not know that you've put all this thought into it. It should be like very obvious to them. It's like, oh, of course it was this way is the way, it makes complete sense this way, you know, duh. That's what we want it to be like to them, and that takes a lot of thought, I think. Obviously, I'm thinking a lot right now. Back to my template repository. So, and you know, even I'm acting like this template repository is like, I can't change it, but I can change it. And then say, oh, that doesn't actually work. I need to make big changes. So sometimes there's value in just getting it done and getting it out there so you can experience it as a learner, because then you'll really know. Hector says, you can use any, early on the bot could review a user's pull request. Near the end of the course, we could ask them to audit that review. They will likely forget by the end and maybe not even notice it was approved. Oh, that's a good point. We could do that too. There's a lot of options. We've got options. But I need to focus on getting a few more commits on this branch, and then just getting this project template repository to a workable state, or else nothing's ever going to happen. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple more pages here. So I've added learning resources. I'm just going to do a couple more. Learning resources. We'll call this doc references. Documentation references. List handy documentation references. And then I will go straight to Docsify. Like Docsify. Commit this. Commit, add page in manual about documentation references. And then let's do one more, and let's go crazy. Let's do something totally different. Let's do one about, I take it back. Let's not do something totally different. Let's keep it in theme. Got learning resources, documentation references. If I'm like learning something, I might also have like, in addition to learning resources and documentation resources, I might have my own past work, right? Sure. Pastwork.md. Include references to your own completed learning labs or other work. Okay, so this is at least on theme here, that we're helping them create something. I don't know if anybody would ever use this, but you know what? It is a start, and they'll also understand kind of, well, it's something. It's a start. Hit commit-m, add page for past work. Okay. Great. Now from here, let's have one more branch for the navigation, the side navigation. So I'm just reading here, create a sidebar file, and then we'll make a structure. Okay. So this is all good stuff. This feels normal. This feels good. Okay. Git checkout minus B, add navigation, and then here we're going to, not here at all. Here, we're going to add a new file, and we're going to call it _sidebar.md. And this is really great because we can just literally put this in Markdown of like header 1, resources, and then here we can make links to learning resources, and then to documentation references, and to past work. Let me double check the syntax here. Oh yeah, so you just really just put like the file name. This is actually really similar to when you're referencing a response file in Learning Lab. You just need the file name. So this is learningresources.md. This is docreferences.md, and this is going to be past work.md. Git s, git add, okay, git commit, add sidebar to documentation. Okay. Gonna head on back to to the config. Add this details here. So there's going to be a type, create a pull request with branch, what did I call you? Add navigation with body, and then I need to create this file, add navigation.md. So let's do that, 00 add navigation.md. I'm just putting notes here for myself. Introduces navigation to the documentation, and then if possible some kind of review or like other context on, oops, why did I tab? Add navigation, and then merge type, merge add navigation branch. Okay. That turned my brain into toast, so I'm just going to read through these steps again and see if they make sense with that template that I've created. I have not uploaded this template anywhere yet. It just exists on my computer. Close the linked issue. So those exist, those two things. Cross-link, find the relevant or duplicate issue or pull request. So this is all, that can be an issue also, but that means I'm gonna need to create those issues. Let's keep those as issues. So here I'm gonna just, stub this out so I don't forget. Create an issue that would have a, let's see, is that right? Create across the find the, so this is happening in a new issue. Okay, so I'm gonna need, so O2, I'm trying to think if that issue is already created or not. That doesn't make any sense. So they create a comment, they close the linked issue, and we're like, great, cross-link. And they're like, okay, great, and they comment. We make sure it's right. Oh, so I don't need to do this. I've already done this. I don't need to create a new issue. That's what the very first issue was. Okay. They respond. No, we respond. We're saying, hey, find a commit. And so now we can go into more detail here. So find a commit where the file, let's do the file where the navigation bar was, where the navigation file was added. And then we'll have to tell them what the file is called, otherwise they'll be lost as a duck in the park. No, they're not lost there. That's their home. Okay, docs/sidebar.md. Okay. Unrelated, why I'm thinking about parks. I bought a bike on Sunday and I get to go pick it up and I'm so excited. I want to ride it through a park. Okay. So we find the commit, and that commit we already know is, let's see, is commit this one. Commit 312F8, if we stick with this template, which Lord knows. So validate for the SHA, which is that. Okay, making sense so far. Find context. Mention the author. Let's just cut the reviewer now. I think that'll be easier to, it won't be easier to add. It won't be ever easy to add in. But if we I think it'll be easier to get the course up and running without that, and then add that other layer in later if we decide it needs it. So I'll just mention the author and the pull request, where commit was created. Okay, author is mentioned. Validate the comment is in the proper pull request. Perfect. Then we'll fix broken build. In the pull request where comment was made, find broken build. So we are also going to need a pull request open with a broken build, in air quotes broken build, because we're not going to be able to integrate any type of CI type create pull request. We will be able to send a status update. Manually is the wrong word. It's not manual at all, but we can just with the status API. No adverb for that. Okay, so type create a pull request with branch. Let's create one of those bad boys right now. And in this branch, let's just go ahead and add some more documentation pages. That's an easy win. And we can say that it's because there's bad spelling or something and they need to fix it, and that'll fix the build. That's fine with me. We're not trying to teach them scripting or anything. So git checkout, and again, this is off of the add navigation branch because it just doesn't really matter. Git checkout -b, and then we'll have this pull request add a page about git commands. Why not? Add git tips. Yeah, everybody likes a git tip. And then we're in the docs directory, we're going to do a new file, git tips.md. And then here, git tips. Here are some good tips and tricks. And then it's going to be misspelled. And then that's what they're going to try to, we're going to be like, tricks is misspelled. I know, it's just like, what a great plan. It's the starting point. Use git status. Often, that's the only thing I remember how to do in Git now. I forgot everything else. Use git pull -- prune to clean up old and forgotten remote tracking branches. And we'll do one more, just so it's a nice, even 3 is not the right term. It's a nice package of 3. We also want to, you know what? That's it. It gets to be 2. That's what we get. So you save that file, git s, git add, git commit -m, git commit -m, create git tips, file in docs. Okay, so it's add git tips is the name here. I'm going back to the config and just like jotting this down so that I have it later when I actually write these actions out. Add git tips. And then instead of approving it, and so let's go ahead and get rid of these steps too, because we're not going to do that. We're not going to approve any of them. We're going to set status of failing with status API. And then that's fine. So then they have it. Doing it again. Okay. So they find it. How are we going to know that it's the right one? We'll need to give it a title. And we can check it that way, I think. No, we don't need to check that. That's fine. I'm just filling this in. This pull request adds tips and tricks for using Git. And then with body, so this is just like all the other ones. I just am putting in a placeholder so that just trying to think of, hold as much of my frontal cortex as possible. And it's not everything, you can't keep it all. Things will fall. They assign themselves. I need to double check that event is the same for issues assigned and pull requests assigned. I would guess that it's the same, but I'm not certain. Respond and pull request. We will respond with instructions that already exist. Fabulous. They're a little bit existent. And then they push. We validate they did what we said. Okay. Whew. I feel great right now. I feel fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and push these up onto the remote in some way, shape, or form. and then spend the remaining amount of time with just actually making the config in any way, shape, or form functional. Okay, so this is not, git remote-v, this does not exist on the remote yet. So I'm gonna make that remote repository now. So +, new repository, and it's gonna be called Working in Large Repositories Template. Rolls right off the tongue, if you ask me. And I'm gonna put it under GitHub training. I'm not sure if you can hear it. People driving by. Oh, they're having a good time. Description. I'm gonna just say template. So this description is GitHub, not Git. So it will not be sucked over and put on the user's repository. Template repository for working in, I'll just say working in large repositories. I'm going to make it public, private. It's gonna be public eventually because it's gonna be open source. It needs to have the proper license and it doesn't yet. So I'm gonna make it, what if I just add a license? I think it's Creative Commons 4. Hector, since you're here, is it simple enough to just add, like pick a license and put it public now, or do I need to make it? Oh, Hector's right. When you created the course, I see in chat now, when you created the course, you got a template repository. Real smart, good thinking. Well then, we'll see. Working in large repositories template. Repository. Yeah, okay, and it does, fart. It does have a README. Sorry, excuse the language. I'm frustrated because I just made all of that history and this has a README, but it's okay. I could just force push. I'm just gonna force push. And everyone in my Slack channel will get a notification that Brianna's force pushing again. Git remote add origin. Here we go. And then I'm gonna have to push, let's check out master, git push origin-view, origin, master, -- force. Dun, dun, dun. And then git branch -- all. Git, and then I'm just gonna push up the rest of these bad boys. Let's just knock them out. Add git tips. Git push -u origin master. Yoop. I wish that it made like a cute little you got mail, you know, like sending sound whenever you push. There's probably a plugin for that. Git checkout add navigation. Git push -u origin add navigation. Wait. Crap. What did I do? I'm sorry about the expletive again, but I just pushed to master when I was on add git tips. And that was wrong. So I have to get checkout to master again. And git push -- force again. Okay, let me just double check that this is fine. Okay, it's not. It is, okay. And then here, git checkout, add git tips, and then I want to do git push -u origin, add git tips. I was too busy thinking about the cool sound. Ooh, Hector has a great git tip. Hector, I'm going to use this, and I'm also going to add this to the git tips. So how about that? Git tips. I'm just going to literally copy this from here to here, from here to there. Pretty explanative, lehrreich, pretty clear. It's from YouTube chat. Git push -- mirror force pushes. You may not want to force push, but you can with this command. Okay, there you go. That's perfect. So now I'm going to git push -- mirror. Oh, yeah. And then let's take a look at all the branches on there. always forget about mirror. Woohoo, there they are. That's great. So those are all there. The branches are there. Everything's looking great. Let's go ahead. I'm going to check out or not check out. I'm just going to CD back into the regular repository. Continue work on first version config. You know, these commits are not the most atomic. These are, this is just me like pushing up to the remote because I don't trust my brain and I want to make sure that it's safe. Oops. See, Hector says, it wouldn't be a forced push party if it all doesn't happen in one command. Hector throws forced push parties. Okay, so now that this is up here, I feel like, you know, I've got about 10 more minutes that I want to spend on this today, even though technically it's in a really great stopping point. But I want to go back to the config and turn this into like real words a little bit, because I promised some people that that's what I would be doing today, and I've done zilch. Okay, so by turning this into real words, I mean taking this, a lot of the pseudocode and turning it into like actual factual syntax. So let's start from the top. Create a branch, or create pull request with branch, da 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 da. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the docs immediately and take a look at the available actions. So if you have not already like checked these out, in fact, I'm gonna put this in chat because I can do that. This reminds me of teaching on Zoom days. And these available actions, check them out. They're real great. Also auto sign in, but that's neither here nor there. So create pull request. I'll zoom in just a bit here. Ooh, not that much. Create pull request. And here is where I can see, okay, opens a new pull request on GitHub. Spot on. From this branch. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this. You can see below, there's like if I also wanna do a comment or if I wanna do it to not master. So by default, the pull request will be to base master. If you don't want that to be the case, it doesn't have to be the case, but it is here. There's also this data field that we'll use later, so I'm not gonna get into it now. Okay, so I'm just gonna paste this bad boy in here and then fill it in from, so this is earlier when I was going through this and just like kind of putting what may have felt like random pieces of information, like why is she putting the branch name there? Like why does she have to create the response file now? For my brain, it makes it way easier for those to exist as real things for this exact time. Because I can say, okay, create pull request, that I'm gonna delete. So this is my pseudocode up here. In fact, let me do this. So this top one's my pseudocode, so I'm just gonna delete this. It's not a type. I'm create pull request, that's already gotten. So with branch, create documentation structure, okay. That's gonna go here under head. So I can get rid of this, and then the with body is gonna be this. And then I can delete this line completely, and then I need to give this pull request a title. I'm gonna title this the same thing. Oh, I see Michael in chat. Hi, Michael. Yes, I am a huge VS Code fan. I use Atom, used and loved Atom for a long time, but VS Code has been, it's been fabulous. I'm gonna keep my naming, oops, not that one, create documentation structure. Just really straightforward and exact to all the other things right now. If it makes sense to change it later, we can change it later, but this way I will not be as easily confused. So that's creating the pull request. Then I want it to merge the pull request. So I'm gonna head back over to the docs, to the available actions, and look for something, merge pull request. These are very well named, so shout out to Jason and team, Jason, James, and Kevin, and Hector, and all of them. So I can do it by the number or the title. I'm not gonna mess with the number right now because I know there's gonna be some additional issues opened. So I'm gonna go with the title. I don't really need to copy all of that right now, but I'm going to. So the type is merge pull request. And then here it's just going to be, I literally just copy the string of the title of the pull request. And then this line that was my pseudocode goes away. And then this also should not have a, so the hyphen only goes with type. It doesn't go with all the things. So the next one is create pull request again. I'm actually going to just copy the structure from here. So the type is going to be create pull request. Title is going to be add new pages. The body is going to be 00 add new pages.md. And then the head, so the branch, is going to be add new pages. So this part is like a little bit less creative than figuring out what all the steps are going to be and like how it's all going to fit together, but I need this balance. I really enjoy this part of it, personally. Helps me make sense of it all. And then here, so this is going to be a merge pull request. And notice that we're not giving it the branch name. We're giving it the pull request name. The pull request title or number. Pull request is add new pages. And I'm also noticing some little tedious things that, you know, keeping the whatever the user's looking at consistent. You know, I was using title case here and not later, so let's just not use title case. Let's keep it consistent. This next one, so create pull request. And then the title is going to be add navigation. The body is going to be this one, 00 add navigation.md. And then the head is add navigation. Okay. Getting faster every time. The type, merge pull request. And the title of the pull request is going to be add navigation. Okay, just one more. Create pull request. So this is the type of thing after you create a few courses, this goes like bam, really fast. Title, add get tips. Now I'm going to capitalize get, that's not title case, that's a proper noun. Proper nouns are capitalized. Add get tips.md, and then the head is going to be add get tips. A lot of this, by the way, if you use the course editor, will be a completely different interface. It'll do a lot of it for you. This is not what I'm working on this time. I'm just doing it the old way, the lazy way for me, not for everyone. So the next I want to set a status of a failing to this pull request. So this one I have to actually look up again. So let's head over here again to the docs, to the available actions. Okay, something about a status. Update branch protection, probably not. Remove branch, no. HTML contains tag. Create status, here we go. So type, ooh, this one's more fun. Oh, well, you can get a lot more fun. You can get more fun. You could do really basic things, just like failure. Now this is going to be interesting because this is normally a response to an event, and it needs that event data so that it knows which pull request to create a status upon. But in this case, that's not, this is part of the before step, so I wonder if this will break. Let's find out. So use conditional to determine the state, specify a context to be able to overwrite the status in a later action. So let's see. The commit SHA, perfect. So I don't actually need to know the context. I can just specify the commit SHA. Great. So I'm going to just start with type create status. I'm going to build it out from here. So type create status. And then state is going to be failure because I want it to be failure. What are the other options? Error, I don't see I don't think an error really matters. We will want to give them some information about why it's failing. So maybe what we'll do is just keep it really basic for now. And then let's just do SHA. And then after that, let's go ahead and comment on that pull request. No, wait, we'll do that later because they're gonna assign themselves to it and then we can comment. Okay, so this is actually pretty simple. And the most up-to-date commit, let's find that one too. So I'm gonna go back into the template repository and the Git tips is the most recent one. Let's see, let me double check. Yep, that's what the pull request will be. And the most recent commit is gonna be this one. Okay, let's do the long one. Oops, git log. Okay. All right, so I think that's enough for the before step. This is like perfectly at time for how much I was wanting to go. This is a bulky before step, but that's okay. I'm gonna go head on back over, to the non-template repository and just commit this. Finish first draft of before step. So today was a lot of progress. Today was like deciding what the template repository is going to be, creating it, pushing it, having the commits. The config is not done at all, but the before step is done. So next time, I'm going to finish all this stuff. So finish turning that into real actions. Then the time after that, who knows when it'll fall, but making it real actions, then actually trying to get through the course. I'll worry about that before I worry about the responses. And then once I can get through it, that's when I'll fine tune the responses. And after I do that, that's when I'll be like, this is ready for feedback. Yeah. Thank everybody for joining today. I'm really happy that people are in any way interested in this. And hopefully I'll see you next time.